Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
British Spy Stories, Season 5. Kill or Be Killed. Episode 5. The rugby match has been disappointing for Riverside, despite it being in the Twickenham Stadium, to the west of London, considered to be the home of the game. Along with everyone else leaving from that section of the ground, he steps slowly down the concrete staircase at the back of the seating on his way to an evening with two of his oldest friends in the White Cross pub on the Thames at Richmond, half an hour away. As he reaches ground level and steps onto the tarmac, he can feel his phone humming in his pocket. When he looks at the screen, it says Doctor's Surgery. He waits until there is more space around him, then moves across to one side, away from the crowd, to take the call. The standard practice for all MI6 personnel, when storing work numbers in their personal phone, is to name them something innocuous. And this isn't his doctor calling. It's Agent Loxby. "Hi, Emma. You ring me to find out the rugby score?" She ignores the quip. "Rob, I'm just calling to say that I won't be in work on Monday. I've got a few days off." He screws up his face. "Everything all right?" "Not really." She stops her words to prevent herself from crying. "What is it, Emma?" he says. "It's Dad." Her voice breaks now. "A road accident last night." "Is he in hospital?" "He's dead, Rob. Some car came out of nowhere, the police said. Smashed right into him. He died straight away, though. At least it was quick." She starts to cry. "I'm so sorry." "I didn't even see him, Rob. My train got in at 7 last night. He was already dead." Now she loses her ability to control her emotions, and he listens to the tears sobbing out of her. After a while she is quieter. "Is your mum all right? And you got a sister, haven't you? It's good to be with family." "We don't get on. Mum and Claire have always been close, like Dad and I were." "Who else is up there with you to talk to? You still got friends who live in the area?" "No one stayed after school. All my friends are in London." There's a passing moment of silence. "Why don't I come up?" "What?" "I can't progress the op without you. I may as well take a few days off too. I've got a holiday to use up anyway." The seconds go by. Then, in a quiet voice, she says, "Yeah, I'd like that." 3 hours later, Loxby is waiting outside Cambridge Station, in her father's red Austin Healey Sprite sports car. "This was the love of his life," she says, when Riverside sees her and walks over. "Get in, I'll show you around." They drive out to the villages around the city that she loved as a child: Waterbeach, Cottenham, and Impington. She drives down to the River Cam, and they sit on the bank near Batespit Lock and watch clouds start to bubble up in the sky to the east. "I'm never coming back here after this week," she says. "Why?" She doesn't answer. Then, after a silence, she says, "That's my parents' house over there." She nods upwards towards a large white farmhouse on the other bank of the river. "That's my mum, look, talking to that bloke." Across the water, a woman in her 50s wearing black is standing on her front doorstep, talking to a man with greying hair. On the road outside, a dark blue Jaguar Sentinel is parked near the short white picket fence that edges the garden. The driver is standing, ready to open the door for his charge. Riverside can make out a face he knows. What on earth? He says.
What is it?
That's Sir Bernard Mackintosh.
Who's he?
MI6 Ops Director.
He must have come because of me,
she says.
That's kind of him.
Riverside's face hasn't stopped looking puzzled for a minute.
I'd better go and say hello.
She stands up and has gone before Riverside has a chance to come to any conclusion about why one of the most senior people in British intelligence would visit the family of a serving junior MI5 officer. He gets up and hurries after her.
Hello,
she says to Sir Bernard.
I'm Emma.
He smiles in his reassuring way. Riverside stays behind her, out of sight. Loxby's mother has been crying. She can see. I make a point of visiting in this situation, says Sir Bernard.
That's very kind of you.
But I don't want to overstay my welcome, he says. I'm needed back in London. Good to meet you all. He turns away and walks to the Jaguar. The chauffeur closes the door after him. Then the car turns in the dirt road and moves away to the junction up ahead.
This is Rob,
Loxby says to her mother.
We work together. That man who just left,
says her mother.
Sir Bernard, you know him? I've seen him in the news,
says Loxby.
He told me that Dad wasn't in the council. What do you mean? He worked in the security services.
Mrs. Dudley looks directly at her daughter.
He wouldn't tell me what Dad's job was, though. But he said he'd been exceptional.
Whereas this is a shock to Loxby. Riverside had worked out why Sir Bernard would have spent half a day travelling to Cambridge. Her mother doesn't know that Loxby works for MI5 too, and she can't tell her. They go inside and spend half an hour talking about what Sir Bernard had related, which was not a great deal aside from the bare facts. The discussion is cut short by the other daughter, Claire, arriving home, and Loxby says she needs to take Riverside to his hotel down the road. Once they're settled in the pub next to the hotel, Loxby goes quiet. What are you thinking about? He says.
Dad spent 30 years lying to us.
He wasn't allowed to tell you, like you can't tell your mum what you do.
Don't spouses know that their partners are spies?
He may not have been a field officer. He may have been a data analyst or techie or something.
Can't you find out?
She says, taking a swig of her beer bottle.
If he was in 6, you can see all about him in Oberon, can't you?
She refers to the Secret Intelligence Service's main operating system. Not really, it's all locked down. You can only see what you need to do your job. Anything else is breaking the rules.
Like you've never done that.
She smiles at him. Some things are best left unknown, Emma. This is probably one of those.
Could you? He was my dad.
Don't ask me, Emma. Riverside's eyebrows pull together, but she looks disappointed, and he breathes out. I'll tell you what, he says. I can find his code name for you. That won't do any harm. It's a fiddle I know. She looks at him and opens her eyes wide. Then he says, Yeah, all right, it's breaking the rules.
Told you.
She looks triumphant. Riverside picks up his phone and switches into encrypt, then links to Oberon. When did he start? He says.
92 is when he told us he started with Cambridge Council, so it could have been then.
She watches Riverside type and flick on the screen. What was his name?
Kenneth James Dudley.
After a moment, Riverside says, Agent Woodville.
How do you know?
I'm not telling you.
Woodville,
she repeats.
Can you see his ops record?
No, it's all locked. She smiles at him.
Thank you, Rob. And thank you for coming up to see me. Can you stay till the funeral? It's on Monday. I thought it normally took a week to organise things like that. Maybe Sir Bernard brought his influence to bear.
Sure, I'll stay. We can use the time to plan what we're going to do to stop this bloke Oliver Bailey before he gets his hands on anything sensitive. They continue to talk inside the warmth of the pub. And outside, the wind rises and the clouds scud across the darkening sky to the east. After last night's party, 50 guests have stayed in the chateau. A lavish breakfast is laid on. Then Rose's father, Alain, takes some of the people on a horse ride across the estate, and another group plays chess on the lawn with giant carved wooden pieces that each need 2 of the staff to move. There's another meal at 1 p.m. Then, as the afternoon rolls on, guests drift away in their vintage Lamborghini 400 GTs and Mercedes-Benz W113s, leaving the 5 Nox Ventura partners to meet over dinner and conclude their business together. Rose had asked Gabby to stay and be available until the end of their dinner so that she can update her after the partner meeting. Gabby decides that she and Hans will eat out, as it will give them the opportunity to meet Laravel and debrief on last night's bugging mission. The Diablo Bar is a 15-minute drive into the mountains above Chateau Froissart, with a view of the valley from its windows. Hans drives Gabby in his Gran Turismo up through the twists and turns of the hillside road, until they reach the place. As a precaution, Gabby had raised a scan order from London Centre to run satellite traces of the surrounding area and match any people in the vicinity of the bar from the MI6 watch list of dangerous individuals. As they pull up into the car park, an encrypted message comes through on her phone from London confirming that there are no matches. After 10 minutes, the door opens and Laravel walks over to their table. They order food and beers. She has a cut on her face.
Tell us about last night, Jenny. All listening devices and cameras were planted on the ground and upper floors, but not in the basement. And I was discovered.
Is that how you got injured? Says Hans.
Oliver Bailey found me. He was making a call upstairs and I was unlucky. I had to terminate one of the guards in the gardens too. Did it cause a fuss?
We heard nothing. Must have been covered up, says Hans. Rose wouldn't want to be seen to be vulnerable in front of her guests, or her Nox Ventura partners.
GCHQ are monitoring the video and audio feeds,
says Laravel.
They'll flag up anything they find.
The food they ordered earlier arrives. As the waiter leaves, Gabby says,
I've figured out our next steps. We'll split up and each track one of them. You, Jenny, are on Villanova, so drive to Madrid. You can make contact with him if that works, or work covertly. Decide when you get there. Gordon, go to Brussels. Track Louis Jacobs. Research branch sent through additional data on vulnerable MEPs. And there's one guy from Denmark who they flagged, so find out more about him. Mikael Norgard. She continues. We know there are dozens of security service resources working undercover in Brussels, of course. The latest intel says 16 countries have units there. So it's a mess, but focus on Jacobs.
What about you, Gab?
He says. Paris. Salvatore Albano, who is Rose's Italian partner, is working in Paris at the moment. London have rented an apartment for Lady Imogen Harwood, and I'll live there and get under his skin.
In the chateau, the 5 partners walk from the sitting room and turn along a passageway that has only one door at the end. Rose leans in towards an iris scanner on the wall, and a white beam traces across her eye. A green glow flicks on around the panel, and the door swings open. Inside, a shallow, curved staircase drops down further beneath the house. They continue their descent and reach double glass doors, which slide back silently as they approach, revealing a set of vast basements. Lights flick on, triggered by the movement of the people. Oliver, with a black eye from his battle with Laravel last night, has not been down here before. He stares momentarily at the size of the space, and Rose sees his reaction.
The old wine cellars, Oliver. Not quite as large as Molestimici, but these tunnels stretch down to the river.
There's a central room with a long oval table in it, in a pool of brighter light, and offices along one wall. Rose sits at one end of the table, and the four men choose seats around the oval. She presses one of a bank of 6 buttons set into the tabletop, and trays rise up out of the floor next to each man, with varying alcoholic drinks on them.
You each have your favourite drinks next to you,
she says, and they smile at the sophistication of the move, given they thought they'd chosen which chair to sit on.
This is the 7th monthly meeting of Nox Ventura,
she begins.
And this is your first meeting, Oliver. I'll reiterate what I said to the others. Everything you hear in these meetings, and everything communicated to you as part of our business, is confidential. Any leaks will attract the severest penalty.
Rose pauses.
Which would be the ending of your life.
She smiles, but no one reacts. The others have heard it before, and Oliver doesn't care what this woman says anyway.
This month, we'll secure our first military and state documents from our contacts. This changes the nature of our organization. To date, the industrial and commercial secrets that we've acquired for onward distribution have been important to the donor companies, but not to many other people.
She looks around to check that she has their complete attention.
As we move into military and state secrets, we'll have many more players who are interested in stopping us. But the return on our investment will be tenfold.
What about the risk?
Says Louis.
That woman last night was talking about risk.
It will be riskier, Louis,
she says,
but we'll raise our game to manage it.
I'm arming my people, says Raphael, just to be on the safe side.
I can't do that in Brussels,
says Louis.
Not all meals are created equal. For instance, breakfast has the spicy egg McMuffin for a limited time, and lunch doesn't. McDonald's breakfast comes first. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Your MEPs aren't going to be violent. We must all adapt to the markets we're in. Raphael is going to source most of his paperwork from military contractors around Madrid and Barcelona. They're more likely to have armed security than the European Parliament.
She turns to Oliver.
What about London?
She says.
As the new boy, what are the prospects you've identified?
I'm working on it,
he says, looking annoyed.
Please do share your thinking.
I'll decide who the targets are. That's how I work.
Her eyes have taken on some fire.
You need to keep us all informed, Oliver.
Her voice has an edge to it now.
I run the show in London.
You don't operate alone, Oliver. You answer to me.
Her voice rises momentarily and echoes down the tunnels around them. The other men look uncomfortable.
You're lucky you have me,
he says.
Don't push your luck. I always deliver, but I do it my way.
Her voice is icy but forceful now.
I'm not having some amateur hour operation in London.
I know the people in the city. I'm respected. Don't tell me how it works.
You've traded money, Oliver, not secrets. This is entirely different.
Then I'll walk out of the door. Go elsewhere. Continue my trades, whether it's currency or information. I'll win, Rose. I always do. And you need me.
He spreads his hands out in front of him. She knows that, in part, he's correct. And she draws back from further heat, drinking a mouthful of her vintage Dom Perignon instead. Salvatore and Raphael exchange glances.
Next item on the agenda is Lady Harwood. She has confirmed to me that she's happy to work with us. I'm not sure we need her, says Salvatore. Like Louis said yesterday, we're not going to need to clear up dead bodies. And the point she made about data trails seems avoidable if we're careful. Raphael looks doubtful. I don't agree. I think she's a useful service to have available to us. We don't have to use her if we don't need to. What's the cost, Rose?
100,000 a month retainer, plus expenses.
There are nods around the table.
As you suggested, Salvatore, we can trial her,
says Rose.
A couple of months, then review. I'll watch her personally. She won't be able to move without me knowing.